Never underestimate the mountain. This is a circuit that punishes even the smallest of errors. With that in mind, today it may be less about speed and more about minimizing mistakes. We'll see who can be perfect out there as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is IMSA driver Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Mount Panorama is a practically cartoonish circuit in appearance. Let's take a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrad Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock's Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest's Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today. You can see what I mean when I say that this is just almost cartoonish in the way it looks around here, up and down the mountain. 23 turns, 4 miles in length. It takes over 2 minutes to get around this track. Of course, everybody knows about the run over the mountain with how narrow it is up there. A lot of fast sweeping corners, and you're trying to dodge between narrow concrete walls the entire way. One little slip up, and in most spots, basically that's it. You hit the wall and you get some major damage. But besides that, we can't forget that you go up Mountain Straight, you go down Conrad Straight, you get a lot of speed there. And it's going to be a bit of a slipstream battle, meaning if you can keep up with the leaders, especially over the mountain, you could have opportunities when it gets to the end of this 30-minute race, especially down into the chase where you have that heavy braking zone into the chicane. And of course, Murray's Corner, which looks like a 90-degree left-hander, same thing with Hell Corner, but they're surprisingly difficult for being just simple, straightforward, flat 90-degree turns. But I've seen a lot of drivers mess those up over the years. So keep an eye out. This one will definitely test the drivers without a doubt. And I am almost certain we'll see some attrition throughout today. Now, before we get to the racing, we do want to mention our sponsors for this series, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Well, today's race is getting us well into the season now. We're into round 4. Still one of our more standard race lengths for this one at only 30 minutes. And as always, they're racing in the 911 GT3R. That's the actual GT3 class Porsche, which I know their naming can make that a little bit confusing since they have the GT3 Cup car as well. Fixed setup in this series, so drivers don't have to worry about trying to tweak and tune them to their liking. They just get in, try and be faster, and hope that they can improve their pace over time through simply their inputs on this car, not trying to set it up any quicker out there. And they're in the midst of qualifying right now. Sagar Dawan is currently on the pole position provisionally ahead of Chris Walsh, which is interesting because Chris is usually incredibly fast. We've seen a couple tracks which seem to kind of haunt him. The one that really comes to mind is Willow Springs, which we had earlier this season, and once again had a bit of a more difficult time at that one. This might be also another of his bogey tracks. I'm not sure. He's got to make up about 0.2 of a second to catch up Dawan at this stage there. You can see Sagar coming around up to the very top of the hill. And he is coming down where it is literally downhill all the way basically to the finish line from this point on. And this should show you what I was talking about, where you just cannot make a mistake at any point through the dipper, through the S's, and then finally through Forest Elbow, where he can really put his foot down. And I'm showing him on what I think might be an out lap right now, so I don't think he's going to improve on this lap. Checking to see if anybody is going to manage to make time. I think Ian Roche might in the number 7 car. He's actually getting himself a very good tow from Chris Walsh. Not a bad driver to try and do that with. And we check in with Dylan Scott in the meantime. Looks like actually Ian did not set a time that time by, even though it looked like he would have improved by 0.8 of a second. That's a real shame. Dylan Scott here is just starting a lap, and he's up by about 0.1 of a second. Coming up into the cutting, saw a wild wreck here at the end in the real world with that BMW doing a bit of a tail slide around the concrete. Much better execution here from Dylan Scott. Heading his way up through Quarry and into Reed Park now as well. This is definitely a very swift part up through the various parks, Solomon, McPhillamy, and then down into Skyline. Very blind into there, as you can see from inside the cockpit. Just have to know exactly where to point the car going through there and trust that there's no big accident. You do get yellow flags in here in iRacing that tell you if there is an accident. If you see one, it won't always tell you exactly where it is, so you definitely should slow up when you see those yellow flags. All right, back on to Conrad. Showing about 0.3 slow on my screen. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to improve from this 9th place on this lap around. And considering he's got about 3 minutes left, probably has maybe 2 more laps to go here because they're able to finish their hot laps on this one. So down through the chase. Yeah, now showing almost 0.75 of a second slow on this lap. This is definitely not a good one for Dylan Scott at this stage. He'll come around Murray's corner, try to get another good one started from here, no doubt. Ooh, I think Dawan and Walsh might be on a quick lap, though. Travis Brown sitting in the pit lane for the time being. Walsh around the final corner, like I said, needs to make up more than 0.2 of a second to try and take the pole. 2:04.664. That is going to do it by less than 1/10 of a second. What about Dawan? He's improving by 0.3, and he only needs about 1/10 of a second to take this one right back. Could he set the marker even farther forward? He'll round the final turn. Little bit of a slide there off of it. 2:04.472. Yes, he takes it right back. A back and forth battle, essentially, with 2 more laps to go, but just barely. They will get back to the line just in time. They cannot dilly-dally. Travis Brown is going to try and get back out there, but I don't think he's going to be able to get to the start-finish line in time. So we check in with his on board, giving us a view from the windscreen, as well as it looks like he's got a wheel cam, and I'm trying to see what he's got in the lower right-hand corner there. It's not a pedal cam, it looks like. With a strange perspective. We'll try and figure out what that is a little bit later. In the meantime, here we go. Got a little bit of a fuller look at things. Maybe that is a pedal cam, actually. No, excuse me. That's from behind. So that's looking at his back. And looks like he's got, wouldn't call it a motion rig, but maybe sort of a rumble rig, I guess you could call it, because it looks like it is kind of moving slightly. Guess it is a motion rig now that we take a look at it. So he comes up and over, but again, I don't know that he's going to be quite around quick enough to, he's going to cut through the course. That actually won't help you because you get a slowdown penalty for that. So he's going to have to give that time back, unfortunately, and he won't be able to pick up some speed by illegally cutting the course. Here we go for Chris Walsh as he comes around and gets ready to finish his final, well, no, this is not going to be his final flying lap. He'll start his final flying lap. And yeah, he slowed down a little bit, so he's going to try and go for one last hot cooking lap here. As Dewan, is he doing the same? He's trying to push it hard here, so he didn't slow it down nearly as much. Will he pay for that? Chris Walsh around the final corner and taking away along up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend. So we watch him get ready for the braking up here. Oh, and Dewan is going slow. Dewan, I think, is he going slow? No, maybe he's not. I thought he was. Looks like he's staying at the pace. It looked like these cars are going slow. It's such a long straightaway that there wasn't stuff close enough by. I thought he'd backed off of it. Chris Walsh hustling this car up and around as I'm joined now by Michael Johnson. It looks like Chris really wants to take this pole right back, Michael.
Indeed he does. Sagar's been doing some great laps. The car speaks to him, really. He understands how to work with this setup with the extra heavy fuel and the high downforce. It's a little unusual on this particular track. Oh, and I just watched, I think Chris Walsh, nope, that was Sagar, kind of make contact with the wall. So looks like Chris might have a chance if he is able to get a little better time through here, but I'm showing him down so far.
Yeah, Dawan is out of it. He has exited the car. Walsh is very close. He's about a tenth slow, which means these last two braking zones, he is going to have to be mighty coming into the chase and into Murray's corner. He's sizing it up as he comes over the crest. Look at him pick up speed here. 165 miles an hour. 170 almost before he gets on the binders. Oh, I thought he overshot it, but it looks like he made the apex just barely. Still, he's not improving. It is going to be so tight on whether or not he can do this. He needs almost 2/10 though, so I don't think he's going to get the pole right back. He'll cross the line. No, it is not an improvement. He'll have to start second at best.
Yeah, I think that little touch on the grass right there at the end might have messed him up. Just you don't get quite the traction you need. You get that little better arc, but you don't get the traction with those right side tires on the grass there.
And that looks like everybody is done with their qualifying that can set a lap here. So let's go through your starting order for today's race. Excuse me. We'll go through that in just a minute here while we wait for the last of our time to tick down in the qualifying session. So this is interesting. Darwin taking the pole here, Michael. Can he put another one over on Chris?
Well, I think he's going to need something like what happened back in the race in California, where Chris kind of got caught up in some stuff, fell way back and had to fight his way back through. That was the one where Jad Duncan was able to win the race. Jad currently sitting in P4 behind Michael Bolton. So Chris is an amazing racer, honestly. So I don't want him anywhere in my mirrors. So if I'm Sagar, I'm going to be like, dude, just get in trouble and let me put up a gap here and not have to worry about you.
Okay, so looks like all the drivers truly well and done with this qualifying session, which means of our 17, I think we got all but Matt Hollander with a time down on the board. And the top of that, as we've been saying, Sagar Dawan on the pole position followed by Chris Walsh starting to his outside. Michael Bolton will be P3. Jad Duncan starts in 4th spot, and Travis Brown will be P5. Outside of row 3 sees Mark Rondeau. Then it's AJ Roper in 7th. BJ Fulton starts P8. Dhruv Chawla with an excellent qualifying up there in 9th. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Dylan Scott.
Dustin Heindel's going to take that P11 alongside Ian Roche, Alex Filsinger, and Larry Haas on the next row, with Will Castillo, John Momeyer behind them, and Matt Hollander also not setting a time. So we'll see where Matt is able to put some of that magic we've seen from him lately onto this racetrack.
Okay, they'll get a short pace lap. They'll start just before the chase, and then they'll be released on their way here for 30 minutes. So not quite as long as what we just witnessed in real life at this track, but certainly enough to test them out there as they follow that Porsche pace car down in preparing. And I did not realize, I had not looked at the temperature until right now. Look at that, Michael, 119 Fahrenheit.
That's going to burn the rubber off of those tires, I think. 48 Celsius is a lot for these cars. Air temperature at 80. So this is going to be a little bit of a management of the tires as that pace car pops in.
Here we go. Control given over to Darwin. He's got to wait for the green flag. Trying to pull up next to him there. Chris doesn't want to miss out. Green flag is out. Big checkup of the back of the field. Look at them try to scatter to try and find track position, going 3 wide in the back as we battle for the lead. Coming into Hell Corner, a car spins from behind. That's going to take out a number of them. Looks like that may have been Mark Rondeau. A few drivers losing their noses.
Yeah, that red car there, I believe that was Rondeau. Getting that nose in there, just not what you wanted to see. Oh, no, that may have been Chawla. I think that was Chawla right there.
They're going to throw the yellow for the second time this season. So they're going to eat up a bit of the time. The good news is everybody has a spare car. So even if you did get some damage, as long as you can drive it around, you'll stay on the lead lap. A bit surprising because it didn't look like they lost too much time there.
I really didn't see much. It looks like one car was sideways, another had a little tiny bit of damage, but maybe they just want to settle things down. BJ, I think, is running this race. BJ Fulton is driving and running the race, and I think he sees there's an opportunity there to tell everybody just, hey guys, chill out. You're running a little bit too hard for the beginning of this race. Let's reset and see if we can do it better second time through.
So they'll have to go over the mountain here, catch up to the pace car. And I'm checking it on my screen, and it was Rondeau that it started with. Very close moment on the inside, actually, as well. I'm trying to figure out who that was in the Rusty's car. That was Dhruv Chawla.
It was Dhruv, okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw Rondeau is currently last, so maybe Dhruv was able to recover?
Yeah. Well, he just kind of went through the grass. We'll see it once we get the replay up. But Rondeau definitely made the first contact. I think BJ Fulton got a piece of it and having to slow down tremendously. Ian Roche looks like he had to kind of go through the gravel. So did Dylan Scott on top of things. So a number of drivers were disadvantaged, but we definitely saw worse at the start of Daytona.
Oh, yeah. I can think of POC races where the start has been worse, but honestly, I like the fact that they threw the full course like that because, like I was saying, it does get everybody to just kind of reset their brain and chill out a little bit. Now, a little bit of movement there. Jad Duncan was able to take over that P3 from Michael Bolton. Bolton going to have to take the time to really work the mountain. The way you work a pass here the best is if you can get right up on somebody going up the mountain and then make them make a mistake coming down that you don't get caught up in. So like coming into the chase maybe is a good place to try to set the car up under draft to get in there and make that pass. So let's see what Bolton does here to try to get that position back.
See, this is why you're a real-world race car driver and I'm not, because my first thought is I'm not going to try and make a pass down the hill. I'm waiting until the draft on Conrad, as now we're finally going to get a look at this one. And it's going to be Rondo in the gray car, just getting into the back of somebody, turning himself around. Yeah, and there you can see at least one other car made contact, as the others thankfully did a pretty good job either avoiding or cutting across on the off track to avoid the accident.
Yeah, unfortunately, people willing to dump the car, get out onto that gravel or cut inside to the grass to avoid, and not just mindlessly say, I've got to stay on track. There are times where it is the smart move to dump and get outside onto the gravel. As we watch on board here, this is on board with BJ, car spinning in front of him, gets, just tapped right there. That was unfortunate for BJ. Now he's got to turn that car back around with that Martini livery and get the power down, get back down the straight. I think that's a good call from BJ to throw that yellow and get everybody back into a better mindset.
Oh, and just got some interesting information on this one as to why the yellow was thrown. They actually have an automated bot that is playing steward out there that throws the caution if it's more than a certain number of incident points on the first lap. That is kind of cool. I haven't heard of that before. And it sounds like it is specifically for the first lap. So that makes a lot of sense there. And that explains probably why we saw that happen.
Makes sense. I think it's the race control software. We had looked at using that back when I was racing with them a couple of seasons ago. I talked to BJ about trying to use that. It looks like they finally implemented it. So good call on their part. I like seeing good technology put to use.
So yeah, exactly. And I've seen this in a lot of series. On iRacing, full course yellows are a bit contentious on the roadside. There are those that want to see them implemented. There are those that do not. And I think this is a good way to have them be a part of the race, is just on the first lap to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake at things in case. Because, I mean, that's the other bad thing about road racing on iRacing is if you don't get that full course yellow, it's just going to stay green the rest of the race. So then if you wind up in BJ Fulton's or Mark Rondeau's shoes, basically your whole race is ruined from the very start. In a 30-minute race, they're probably not going to catch back up to the leaders.
Yeah, I've been on both ends of that, honestly. I've been the person who got spun and was 30 seconds off after the first lap because of the spin. But I've also been the guy whose main rival got spun and I was able to take off. I think I would honestly rather have the full course yellow and be able to kind of reset, just kind of a 50-50 thing as, hey, John Momeyer gets the fastest lap of the race with a 3-minute 54.759. Congratulations, Momeyer. Well done. Nice lap there.
Easy there, John. Don't want to use up the tires too much, you know? But yeah, so now for the second time this season, we'll have a 20-minute sprint because, as you can see, with this being the lights off now on the pace car, this will be the last pace lap, and then they'll let them go once again. But they won't add the time back on the clock. They're going to, I mean, gosh, that limits it to about 10, actually might be less than 10 laps of racing.
Yeah, the laps here are pretty long, as we saw. They're over 2 minutes, so that's going to be quite a long lap to try to make something happen. You can't do a lot other than harass going up the mountain, coming back down the mountain, and then going into the chase. Okay, then you've got passing opportunities, but there's not a lot of opportunity here. Once you get into like Griffiths Bend, you're really kind of stuck behind the person you're behind until you start coming down.
So last time they did this, they did a double file restart at Daytona. But I don't know that I'd really want to try and do another double file here, try and get it going, especially considering things need to be sorted out by the time they get to the mountain. Don't need more cars trying to go side by side up through there. I had mentioned earlier about that BMW that had issues into the cutting, and that it's a perfect example why you want to be mostly single file by then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's it's necessary for sure. And now, if you notice here, we've got our pace car. Lights are off. We are about ready to go back racing. It looks like they're trying to hold single file, at least for now. We'll watch as they work their way back around.
Yeah, I mean, they'll at least probably stay single file down across the mountain here. It'll really be telling when we hit Conrad, because by that point they can definitely get double file without having too many issues. At least they should. But
yeah, and you can go through the chase too wide, even at race pace. So at pace, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay, so they've now hit Conrad, and Walsh is not moving up next to him yet, but he is weaving to try and prepare the tires. Don't think you need to do that too much. We're still at 118 Fahrenheit out there, but he is kind of almost looking like he wants to pull up next to Sagar Dawan. So this could still be a double file start. We'll give it a little bit longer to see if we could find out what exactly they plan to do here with this 20-minute sprint now that we've got for round 4.
Yeah, if they're going to do a single file, Chris is going to have to get back in behind him. But it looks like everyone is lining up for a double file here. So, yeah. But once again, this restart is not on the pole sitter or the leader. It is on the green. So you don't get to go until green. It is an absolute drag race. You don't get to play the games as the leader to try to catch your nearest opponent off guard.
That looks like double file to me. They're all lined up now. Also, an interesting note, BJ Fulton and Mark Rondeau did come into the pits. We saw that. Neither took their free repair, which is a bit odd, because I believe they have 2. Yeah, they have 2 of them to use. So it's not like they didn't want to hold on to it just in case. If they get into more trouble, then they can come back in anyways. But regardless, we're about to start this race as the top 2 pull away from the rest of the field. My goodness, green flag is out. This means this is going to be a big jump there for Jad Duncan, who is a little bit held back as we fly down into the hell corner for the second time on the start. Will we be able to get through this one clean? This is a good one for Dewan, who is ahead of Walsh by the time they exit.
Yeah, Dhruv Chawla making up a position there, but losing it out of hell corner. Losing that position as they come out of hell corner. Looks like Michael Bolton is able to get a better run down Mountain Straight. Now this is going to be telling. Looks like Bolton has better position going into the corner. Goes a little bit quicker into it and is able to open that back up. Dhruv Chawla just out of position there, losing what he was able to gain on that start.
Yeah, he was way wide in Griffin's Bend. He's very lucky because often I've seen cars slide out into the barriers when they get offline there as they work their way through the cutting. A little bit of side-by-side, but everybody very respectful through the field. Here at the back is where it gets a little wild.
Yeah, indeed it does. That's going to be, I think, Rondeau and Bolton and maybe Larry Haas all trying to get back up into the race where they were. So right now that's Rondeau right there in that gray car that we're looking at. He is behind the Kermit the Frog car there of Larry Haas, just chomping at the bit to get past him. Meanwhile, BJ Fulton is able to open up a gap a little bit behind him and trying to close up on Ian Roche.
Yeah, remember, Rondeau's out of position, and he's going to get at least one because Larry seems to have made a mistake, and the car is wobbling. Whoa, and we've also got one with Dhruv Chawla again, this time coming down through Forest Elbow. I think he may have gotten the wall. He looks very slow as the rest of the field streams by.
Yeah, that's going to really probably put a big damper on his race. He's probably going to have to go in and get his spare car for that one. That was a big hit, and he is definitely off pace. As we look, nice pass going up. Wow, nicely done. Way late on the brakes, getting up through there and able to put the hammer down and hold on to the position. Nicely done. Was that AJ Roper or was that
Ian
Travis
Roche.
Brown? Ian Roche.
Yeah, overtaking John Momeyer, who does look a little bit out of sorts here. In the meantime, up in front of them, Dylan Scott sneaking by Will Castillo. That is for the 8th spot, and they'll head out of hell corner for the second time. This battle is raging back here. Rondeau versus Fulton at the same time. What seems maybe like a wounded John Momeyer who's been passed by a few people.
So did Momeyer pick up damage early, or no? That would have been Rondeau who picked up damage, I believe. But maybe we'll take a look at a replay here in a few minutes.
Yeah, it looks like we've got that spooled up now that they get single file here going through Griffin's Bend. Here is Druve, and what happened to him?
Oh, a little wide. Yeah, he got too wide going into. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, and a bit of a hit. That orange car. Who was that, actually?
That was the number 10, Will Castillo.
Oh, we've just had a major wreck as well over the crest. John Momeyer gets completely turned around.
Yeah, going over that crest there, the car really loses traction. You've got to be careful because with these rear-engine cars, that pendulum really swings hard. So you can really make or break your day there if you find yourself there. Now, Ian Roche, as we got right on screen there, able to take advantage of that position, moving on up. Now, right behind him, that's going to be Will Castillo trying to close up again and put a little pressure on him. As we look back towards the front, here are our leaders, P1 and P2. That's going to be Sagar and Chris, with Jad Duncan trying to hunt them down. Michael Bolton still in P4, right on Duncan's tail. I think we've got a double two-way. I'm not sure how to describe that.
A pair of twos, but looks like this battle for the lead staying tight. What I love about this is I feel like Sagar would probably be one of the first to admit that, you know, he definitely won by attendance compared to Chris Walsh, because Chris was much faster last season, took a lot of wins. But this season, I mean, he's trying to prove a point. He is taking the fight to Walsh, as we see BJ Fulton once again battling.
Well, Darwin, he was able to take a little time, put together a much nicer rig. He has a better wheel, better pedals, better everything. He really stepped it up, so he was able to have a better feel of the car. Before, he was racing with lesser quality. Now, some people can race on that and do beautifully. I know people who are like 8,000, 9,000 iRating who are able to race wonderfully with those kind of rigs. But honestly, Sagar came alive when he switched to that better rig, to that nice direct drive wheel. He was way better. So let's take a look at a quick replay here.
I think this might be Castillo that we just saw here. Let's see. Nope, this is something else. This is Momeyer, it looks like, and his just clip going around. Oh, that was that Fulton? Yeah, that was BJ Fulton that got into the back of him and unfortunately turned him at a very scary part of the track.
Yeah, anytime you're up on the mountain. Oh, I don't think that car's supposed to do wheelies. Sorry, Chris, but wheelies are not part of the Porsche paradigm here.
Yeah, that I've never seen a car do that, but he just hit the wall just right.
Or just wrong, but it looks like he did lose some time there. But that's Jad Duncan and Michael Bolton behind him, and they are not making anything out of it. They're not actually closing up on him that much. So I don't know if Chris actually lost that much time, and he's still close enough right now. He's only about a second, little under a second off of Dawan, where he's able to take advantage of some draft. So let's see if his car was damaged at all. Let's take a look at another replay here with Drew.
Yeah, I think he's gotten away with it because, yeah, he's carrying on at pace. But Chawla here, this is, oh, no. Oh, that's not a place where you want to lose it. Coming up and over into, I think that was Solman Park, it looks like, and unfortunately just ran out of room.
Yeah, that's where the track drops away from you the first time. So that's the very peak of the mountain, Suleiman Park, and you're coming through, and you want to catch that inside curbing, but the way the rear end of these Porsches wants to slide around on you, you have to get that wheel as straight as you can, as quickly as you can. Meanwhile, going through Griffith's Bend, coming up to the cutting, this is going to be BJ again, and right on his tail, Mark Rondo.
Both drivers on a recovery. They're up to 10th and 11th. BJ ahead of Mark. And they've... I wouldn't say they've made a few friends along the way on this one with some of the incidents that we've witnessed, but they are in a hurry, and no wonder. They want to try and make up as much as they can. about 2.5 seconds behind Ian Roche, who they're trying to chase down right now. They've also been battling one another as they've been trying to collect more and more overtakes here today. They'll go through the dipper and thankfully not have any issues on that time through. Does look like, I think they're catching Ian slightly lap by lap here.
So a wonderful story about the dipper. I can't remember who the NASCAR driver was, but you'll know probably off the top of your head, who was covering a race here with the V8 supercars and got to go for a ride along. And the in-car commentary is absolutely hilarious. So look it up on YouTube. Do you remember who that NASCAR driver was?
Good old DW. That's Darrell Waltrip. Yes.
There you go. Yeah, DW. Absolutely hilarious commentary. And I can see why he felt the way he did, because anything in a V8 supercar is terrifying.
I was going to say, I've heard a lot of drivers say it's a lot scarier actually to be a passenger in a race car than it is to be a driver. And I think that video kind of highlights that, which kind of redeems all the videos of the spouses that race car drivers will take and show them freaking out.
And I've driven a few spouses from time to time, from co-drivers or like if we had a gentleman driver. But honestly, I don't go that hard, and they still think I'm going as fast as I can. Let's take a look at another replay.
All right, let's see what we're going to watch this time as we see. Here's the onboard from Dawan getting to watch this car pop into the air. This is amazing. Unbelievable stuff. And the car's still going. That's as close as you can dare to go.
Chris is really good at pushing that car out as far wide as it can possibly go. But in real life, he would be missing a mirror and probably a side skirt. So good thing this was in iRacing, because that would have been some very expensive contact.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it does look like he might be struggling a little bit. That or it cost him the slipstream, because he's now up to 1.6 seconds behind. And the 501's been kind of running away. There you can see the gap between them now. It is absolutely increased.
It has. Jad Duncan has closed it down to about 2.3 seconds. He was closer to 3 seconds before. Now, Chris is still driving the wheels off that car with the damage he's got. But I think we might see Bolton and Duncan try to try to really push this and make something happen to take over that P2 and P3, pushing Chris Walsh off to P4.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we watch another lap tick by. I guess what is now halfway through the race, what would normally be 2/3 through the race. Checking back in on the exciting pair of Fulton and Rondeau. Has it down to 1.3 seconds, catching up ever closer to the number 7 machine.
Yeah, these guys have closed that up. That was that was over 2 seconds before, down to 1.2. BJ Fulton off of Roche. Rondeau sitting right behind him. They may be trying to work together a little bit here, and that looks like a car without a front bumper.
Well, he's got a few things missing. Look at the back as well. That's
so he doesn't have a drag producer.
No, he's adding lightness as well. So
yes, there we go. Yeah, you're looking to the positive side here. Oh, a little bit wide.
Chala going deep down into the chase, which means now Momeyer's got a shot to almost unimaginably make an overtake with this half a car that he has left.
Well, because he added lightness mostly.
Clearly, he gets close to him coming down through Murray's corner, but he can't quite get close enough to get a pass. Maybe he'll be quick in a straight line here. Let's take a look at it.
Coming down. Oh, look at that! They got wiggly through there. Let's take a look at this replay. Now, notice he has the T-service tray on the back of the car now, but boom, right there. Oh, that was the nose.
And he backs it up.
Yeah, backs it into the wall, but it's still there. It's still there. When does it fall off? Is there a second part to this?
He must have had another accident later on then, which is wild that he's still going. He has not used a spare car, so John Momeyer is holding on to those things like he's Scrooge McDuck. My goodness. So the number 6 is basically shedding parts, but not willing to give up.
Well, with the race effectively shortened by that full course yellow, taking the spare car the whole time through that pit lane, it's a very, very long pit lane because the entry it has that little jig back and forth. You essentially have a very big chicane to make it into the pit lane, and that just takes up so much time, where he may not be losing enough time because of the added speed he has on the straight now.
So the chicane in the pit lane brings the pain if you stop. I'm not very good at rhyming, but
feign?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Something, yeah. But look at this trio. We were just talking about how they were closing up on him. That's BJ right there. They have caught up to Ian. So BJ and Mark Rondeau have caught up to Ian Roche, and they're ready to bring some pain.
We'll see if they can.
They've already go for the rhyme, but we got it.
Well, I actually said pain earlier, but we'll disregard that. So
every rock song ever, you just rhyme the same word with itself.
Yeah. Sometimes you can get away with that. Ian Roche, though, is he going to be able to get away with this 9th place? Because, I mean, you talked about the pain. These two have actually brought a little bit of pain to those before. Because remember, we've already seen some contact with a couple cars in this race. And as they climb up the hill, get ever closer, I don't know if Ian's aware of what they've been through so far, but he maybe needs to just keep half an eye on what they're doing.
Well, you've heard the phrase, don't go away mad, just go away. This is, don't drive mad, just drive. These guys, I think they've gotten over whatever anger was there. They seem to be working together a little bit. I think we've got, another about 5 minutes left in this race. These guys are going to start to battle each other coming up here. They've worked their way up to Ian, and they're going to want to get around him.
Oh, he just holding hit the wall, I think.
And Ian, just rubbed the wall there. That's going to give him a chance down Conrad Straight. Now, who's gonna fare well from this? Let's go 3 wide. Why not? Let's go 3 wide here, guys. Come on, you can do it.
No, Mark decided to lift, but that has cost him. I don't know that he's going to be able to make this pass. Yes, he will. Coming down to the break into the chase, Ian Roche backs out of it, and Fulton as well as Rondeau are cleanly through. Oh, sort of cleanly. There was a little dip into the grass there for Mark.
Yeah, trying to do a Jacob Abrams impression there, get the John Deere award, but not quite enough into the grass to pull a full Abrams on that one. Now that one, he got it.
Yeah. And I'll actually slow him up that Roche might be able to repass him here. This is what cost the rear wing, I think.
Among other things.
There it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
Exact same corner. He didn't have any weight on the nose because he's losing downforce, having lost the front nose cone.
So here's the thing. Remember he got pushed to the side coming up the hill. He had that wreck. Then he had the second one where he lost the nose coming down through Forest Elbow. And then a third one at the same spot, losing the rear wing. He's had 3 accidents and he's still driving.
That's just, he wants to get out there and drive. He has a good time, honestly. He goes out there and he just enjoys himself. And that's why he's there. I don't think he feels like he's going to win the race, but he knows he's going to have a good time, and he really likes the group, the people. There's such camaraderie here, and everybody has a good time. So I think that's really his main goal there, is to enjoy himself.
I do love the positive spirit that this league tends to have out on the track, even when they have incidents. I'm trying to think of a time that I've actually seen drivers get mad at one another in this league. You guys all seem to really be able to bring the good spirits. And right now,
I can think of a few.
I'm sure you could. Right now, Sagar, though, I mean, talk about bringing good spirits. He is continuing to edge away from Chris Walsh. I mean, there's very few people we've seen do that since Chris joined this league. This has been a phenomenal drive, and he's going to get the 2 to go.
Yep, 2 to go here. It's looking good for him. Chris Walsh, just that wheelie incident, I think that really took it out of him. Now he's just holding on for second. Meanwhile, Jad Duncan, he is back now to about 3.8 seconds off of Walsh. He has not been able to close up that gap. And Michael Bolton still almost about a second and a half off of Jad Duncan. So the qualifying pace didn't quite hold up as well for Michael Bolton as it did for Jad Duncan, who's been able to bring it here in the race.
So there you see Chris now gotten the popsicle sticks in the air from Barney the Flagman, telling him 2 to go. And like you said, about 4 seconds back to Jad Duncan. So he's safe in that sense, as long as he can just keep it off the walls. Dylan Scott, though, is trying to keep Dustin Heindel from being safe. He's starting to apply pressure for what is a battle for 7th.
Yeah, here we are on the mountain. This is where it gets tricky, right at the cutting. You want to get right up on that wall and just even kiss it with the mirror, and you want a short shift right there. Notice he did not short shift. He tried to run that out. I like to pull a short shift there because you get less wheel spin and you'll gain time going up the hill here. It looks like Heindel may know that trick, and pulling that third gear a little bit early, able to open up the gap just a touch as they work their way up to. I love this little bit right here at the Coates Higher. Man, this is so hard. It's like a double brake. You brake, you have to come off, you have to modulate heavy. Oh, that looked like a touch of the wall.
It was. It absolutely was. Dylan Scott getting a little too heavy on the brakes there and found himself clipping the concrete. It looks like he might get away with it, though, because the car seems to be tracking straight, but he's lost a little time as Dawan comes into the chase. Not for the last time, but just before he'll see the white flag for 1 to go.
Yeah, making his way through the final corner. He can just kind of relax here. Still hanging that rear end out there a little bit. Barney the flagman waving that white flag frantically with 2.1 seconds between Dawan and Walsh. Now right there's that battle for P3. Looks like Jad Duncan probably has this wrapped up, although the teeth, they're biting. They're coming after him. There's an old-time favorite right there. That was Travis Brown. Travis and I have had some amazing races with each other in this race, in this league. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from Travis coming up in the next few races.
We saw briefly Dustin Heindel on here. I want to point out he is up 4 positions as the hardest charger. So the number 8 car has been having an excellent time this time around, managing to pick up spots here and there. And it looks like after his little clip of the wall, Dylan Scott, no longer that real of a threat to him, at least at this stage. So we hop on board with our points, and look, from on board with this angle, I mean, you could tell how precise they have to be through here.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really nice to see how well he's doing. I remember when he first joined the league, he wasn't quite as precise as you're seeing here. He didn't have the patience, but he started applying what I call the 3 Ps and just brought that patience in, and now you see how it has paid off in spades right up on that wall without doing a wheelie as he comes down Conrad Straight. And we're going to watch here as he works his way down Conrad Straight. I think he might even try to brake a little bit early here. He's got enough of a gap. He doesn't really need to push this too hard.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds. He can take it at 90% to finish this one out to make sure that he reaches the finish line. So they say that the clothes make the man. Well, in this case, I'd say the equipment has made the man all the better, because as you said, ever since he's gotten that new set, he has looked completely different, and in fact looked almost unstoppable today, as Dawan will go from pole to the win.
Beautifully done. And honestly, props to Chris Walsh there with the damaged car. After pulling that wheelie, he's still turning some absolute burners out there. He and Dawan have the same fastest lap time at 2:05.820. Wow. Jad Duncan bringing home third, and Michael Bolton in fourth. AJ Roper looking like he's going to take fifth. This is back to Dhruv Chawla here, I think.
Yep, so he's going to finish 12th, but on the lead lap, and Momire, I think, going to be the last one to cross. Yeah, last one to cross on the lead lap. I've never seen a tied fastest lap down to the 1,000th of a second. I've seen that happen in qualifying a number of times, but I can't remember a time I've ever seen the top 2 drivers ever set the exact same fastest lap. Now, they aren't exactly the same. iRacing does measure farther than 1,000th, but it does not send any of that timing to any of our timing and scoring. So we literally don't know what the exact difference is.
Yeah, a lot of races do that. I know I was making a claim to having a fastest lap somewhere, and I believe it was with SRO at the time, and I thought I had it, but I didn't. I had missed it by 100,000th of a second or something like that, and I was like, oh. That's a computer error. That the Ethernet was too slow. It's got to be my no. They were right.
The transponder was not in the right place. Yeah, I'm sure there's all the excuses.
Yeah, I had the transponder at the back of the car. He had it at the front. That's all it was. No, it was not quite. But yeah, John Momeyer here finishing out the race, coming down Conrad Straight. Beautiful section here. But yeah, I think we need to head off to a break here.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, he did take his spare car. That's why his parts magically reappeared on it. We are going to take a quick break while he finishes. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit. Round 4 here in the Porsche Owners Club Series C. Sagar Dhawan beat Chris Walsh on the track with a practically immaculate drive out there. Chris Walsh was pushing to catch him, and that actually ended up biting him as he clipped the wall, got a wheelie like we've never seen before, but still brought it home in second in spite of that. Jad Duncan, with a quiet third place, still collecting points up there, was ahead of Michael Bolton, finishing fourth. AJ Roper was P5, and Travis Brown finished sixth. Dustin Heindel managed to get P7 ahead of Dylan Scott, who's kind of at his home track since he actually hails from down under, but finished eighth today as BJ Fulton was ninth and Mark Rondeau was able to get back forward to at least 10th.
Looking at P11, Ian Roche had a nice little battle there with those guys coming by him. Didn't get in the way. Beautifully done in that nice car. Dhruv Chawla in 12th. Will Castillo 13th. John Momeyer brings in P14 with a completely full car finally at the end. Larry Haas in 15th. The lap down. Alex Filsinger and Matt Hollander did not start the race.
Looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Sagar Dhawan. Let's see how he feels about how this race went, because it looked like you had this one under control, Sagar, but you had pressure early on from Chris. Did you feel confident that you could hold him off if he didn't make his mistake?
Hi. I don't think I would have I wasn't necessarily feeling super confident that I was going to be able to hold him off. I knew we'd have a back and forth fight kind of through the race, because even though I would pull a gap here or there, the straights are long enough that Chris would just pull right up anyway. And so that was really the thing. I was trying to break the toe, and I was like, I don't know where to pull a big enough gap on Chris to break the toe. But I think just coming out of the mountain onto the back straight, I think he banged into the wall. I'm not sure what happened there. But as soon as that happened, he was 0.8 seconds behind, and as soon as he was out of the draft, I was like, okay, I got this. And so from that point on, I started taking it easy. I wasn't really pushing that hard.
I theorized that maybe the draft had something to do with it. We heard, and also if you get a chance, you need to go and watch the replay of that hit because it's spectacular that he's still finished second today.
Oh, wow.
But we've been talking a little bit about, Michael mentioned you got some new equipment some months ago, and that kind of turned things around. How much have you felt the difference of getting yourself a direct drive wheel and something better to race with?
I think it's definitely made a difference. My ultimate pace hasn't really changed necessarily. It's just I'm able to access it more frequently, if that makes sense. It's just the equipment just lets me be more consistent. I used to use a Logitech G27 that I've had since college, so like over a decade now, and I was using that till last spring, basically. And so my results, when they started changing, it was the only thing I changed is I got better equipment, and all of a sudden the laps were just more consistent, so I was just closer to my personal best each lap. Whereas with the G27, it was a little bit all over the place.
I can understand, having raced with the G27 for a lot of years myself. Thankfully, next week, it'll be a slightly less terrifying track going to Motegi's road course. Have you raced on that one much? How do you feel heading over there?
I actually can't remember if I have. I don't think I have. So another track to buy and like try to practice. Oh, we have. Wait, did I win that? I don't know. I don't remember. Actually, don't remember.
You remember.
Oh no.
I sense some bad blood here.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
All right.
that's why I've forgotten. I just, anything embarrassing, I just put it away. Don't need to think about that.
Lock the memory away. So, well, congratulations. Hold on to this memory because that was a well-earned win, Cigar.
Thank you.
That was Sagar Darwan taking the victory today over Chris Walsh, who, as we said, had a spectacular hit with the wall, and I believe Michael's going to be talking to him about that one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go through air traffic control first. So, Chris, tell us about why you thought it was a good idea to pull a wheelie coming down to Conrad Strait.
From my understanding of aerodynamics, trying to take off means I was creating less drag. So it just, I thought that would work, but it didn't. Honestly, I was very surprised when that happened. I was like, what? Did I just drive on top of the wall? I knew I got washed out a little wide from the aero wash, but that was, I've never had that one happen before. So that was a unique experience.
It was quite spectacular. It was kind of like one of those times when you see an F1 car do sort of the same thing, and then everyone's looking at the underside of the car to figure out how they're channeling the air. We had a spectacular view of the bottom of your car.
That was my Alonso moment from Coda when he got hit by Stroll. So we'll go with that.
So, how were you able to hold on after that? It looked like your car was a little bit off pace after that point, and you just weren't able to quite keep up. Were you losing front grip, rear grip? What was going on?
Yeah, I thought actually the whole front bumper was gone because the top end was low. It was a little bit less. I had less top speed. I'm guessing it just knocked the toe out a little bit because I had about 10 degrees of deflection to the left in the steering wheel. It drove okay still. I was still able to do okay lap times, but, it was just a little bit more dicey on entry. But, nothing I couldn't manage. It was a dumb mistake, but hey, that's the challenge with this track. When you're chasing, you're trying to stay super close just so you can get the run into one of the actual, braking zones, and just small mistake there.
Yeah, you were almost free of the mountain, the last little bit with walls right up to the edge. So how do you feel your chances are going to be in 2 weeks at the next track?
Good. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I haven't been in the sim a lot, so it was nice to get back into it. And, Cigar did a great job tonight. So he was fast and quality and did everything he needed to do, not make any mistakes in the race. So, I'm excited for the next rematch. Motegi, I haven't been on too much. I know it, but it's not one that comes up too often. So I'll have to do a little practice.
It is a challenging track, a lot of interesting stuff, some off camber here and there, like when you're going up under the bridge, just some interesting thoughts to corners. But I know you. I know you've got the chops to do it. So when you go in there and you go, yeah, this one's not the way it's normally supposed to be. Let me try something a little off kilter, and it's going to work for you. So hopefully next week or in 2 weeks from now, you are able to put a little closer to Cigar and maybe catch that top step of the podium. Who do you have to thank for your P2 today?
You know, just thanks to you guys for always being out here and putting on a great broadcast. You do a great job. Always to my wife for taking kids' bedtime on the evenings we're racing. So thanks to her. And yeah, that's it.
Well, that was Chris Walsh, your P2 finisher. Meanwhile, Joe Peak has caught up with our third place finisher, Jad Duncan.
Indeed. And Jad didn't have as quiet of a race as maybe I made it out to seem for much of it. You had Michael Bolton kind of trying to chase you down for the first part of that. What eventually allowed you to shake him? Oh, let's see if we got Jad mic'd up here. Jad, do you have a copy? We might not have Jad at the ready. We'll give him a second here in case he's trying to get his settings sorted out. He finished about 7.8 seconds behind our winner, which isn't that far. But we'll give it one more shot. And it looks like maybe he is going to leave us. So sad we won't really get to chat with Jad in the meantime, as he did have a great race to finish third up there with another podium to his stats today. Well, in the meantime, we're going to close it out with some thank yous to our sponsors once again. Porsche, there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, Michael, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next time, we'll be up in Japan, just a little bit north of where we are now. That'll be at Motegi, Monday, March 4th at 11 p.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.